Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Bruce. My friends call me Fluff, and today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we talk about a really old guitar. So I think for a lot of guitar players, there's a lot of ties to nostalgic things, whether that is, a guitar that reminds you of a specific show that you saw or a specific time in your life. However, amongst the most nostalgic things for me is I've always wanted a guitar that was a birth year of mine, which would be 1980, because again, I said old guitar, and I am very old. And I always wanted a guitar that was born the same year as I was, because I love the idea of acquiring and being able to play a musical instrument that was new to the world, like I was in that year, if that makes sense. And a couple of my friends have done this as well. And whether they'll get a Strat or Les Paul or a PRS from their birth year or whatever it is, everyone has their own individual taste and wants or needs. For me, a Gibson Les Paul is just kind of epitomizes, I don't know, the late 70s, early 80s as far as what was happening in music. And I think of all of the albums and records that my father used to listen to when I was a kid. It was all, the Led Zepp stuff, and like there was a Les Paul in a lot of the liners of those albums. So for me, it was always a Les Paul of some sort, and I finally have acquired a birth year 1980 Gibson Les Paul. So I've been quietly looking for a birth year Gibson Les Paul, either a custom or a standard, for probably about a decade now. Now, this is the kind of thing that I was always just casually looking, and if the opportunity presented itself, then I would go and pursue that. But really, it was never a thing of, oh, I have to go and find one of these guitars, because really getting a birth year guitar for yourself is a present to yourself. And, financially that may not make a lot of sense, but also like that's not a hugely important thing as far as immediate needs, right? So this is definitely a treat yourself moment. This is definitely something I splurged on. However, it's important to me, and it feels good to have finally found the guitar that in my head would always be the one that I would get if I came across it. So what this is a May of 1980 Gibson Les Paul Standard. Now, 1980 was not it's not a super revered year for Les Pauls particularly. Standards really. The customs obviously are, worth a ton of money. And the reason why I didn't really want a custom is because I am more of a standard guy. Honestly, customs are cool, but with the binding on the body of the edge, I don't know, they're just not as comfortable for me, and the neck profiles typically aren't what I would normally choose myself. And the ebony board is cool, but I don't know, at the end of the day, I just like a good, classy standard, and I believe that Tobacco Burst is the best finish of all time, and you just don't see 1980 Tobacco Burst finish Gibson Les Paul Standards all that much. You do see a lot of the ebonies though, however. But this is very reminiscent of something like Dean DeLeo would play in Stone Temple Pilots, right? He only plays late 70s Les Pauls. And this is the guitar. It's incredible. So this guitar is completely original. The electronics, the pots, the pickups, which are stamped PAF pickups, the tuners, everything is completely original. And I'm not sure when they stopped bursting the entire bodies or if they did some and not others. I'm not really sure because I know it varies a little bit on the customs. However, the body and neck and back of the headstock is also bursted, which is super, super cool. This guitar weighs 9.95 pounds. So basically 10 pounds. It is a hefty, hefty girl, as most Norlin era instruments were. But yeah, as you can see, there is a body join right here. This is a 3-piece top and a 1-piece body. I believe this is a 3-piece neck. 3-piece neck. Oversized, weird looking headstock. You will notice that the headstock is slightly weirder looking. It's much more, I don't know. They looked a little weird in the 70s, all right? Everyone was on something. Now, first impressions with this guitar is I couldn't believe how clean it is. And the frets are typical Norlin era frets. These are very flat and low. They're basically like a custom. These are the original frets and they are in wonderful condition. The previous owner or whoever had this the longest had like 8s on this guitar. So there's basically no fret wear on the frets. And yeah, this was also stuck in customs for almost a month. So funny side story about this guitar, which kind of does add to the story a little bit, I guess, is this got into customs because I got this from Tokyo, Japan, and it got stuck in customs in Los Angeles, California. And normally that wouldn't be an issue, but they held onto it and they thought I was a reseller. So they kept asking for reseller paperwork. Now, I am not a reseller in the sense of I don't own a business selling guitars. I don't own a storefront or anything like that. I don't sell guitars. This guitar is for me, and I purchased this guitar myself for me to have to play for my own personal enjoyment and to show you guys. And they kept coming back of wanting more tax information and financial information. And then at one point they asked for my social security card and they wanted all sorts of personal information in hoping to prove that I was a reseller, even though I wasn't. I'm trying to prove a negative here, right? And long story short, a dear friend of mine knows a guy at DHL, the shipping company that was handling this. They basically got a hold of customs and the guy at DHL was like, I think they Googled you, which they do apparently. And that's not uncommon. I'm not special or anything like that, but they Googled me and all of the Reverb listing videos came up and they just saw reverb.com and thought I was a reseller making videos to sell the stuff that I was selling. Not knowing that I was actually just making fun of people selling stuff. So for that reason, they thought I was a reseller, and for 3 weeks, they were trying to get me on reseller licenses and stuff like that, which obviously I don't have. I've never used the channel name in any of the paperwork to purchase anything. You know, I have an LLC and stuff, but the channel name is just the channel name. That lives on YouTube. But when the duty slip came, it said Griffs, Beards and Gear. Not Riffs, Beards and Gear. They did Google me. And they got my channel name wrong. Pretty funny. I didn't think it was funny at the time, but yeah. So eventually The guitar showed up a month later in completely perfect condition in its original chainsaw case, and I absolutely love it. It smells old, like I guess I do. So yeah, do you guys have a Perth guitar that you would get yourselves? Let me know in the comments, what do you guys want for yourselves? If you could treat yourself, what would you get yourself? What would it be? I'm so curious on what everyone else really wants for themselves. Money, no object. What would you get for yourself for your birth year guitar? Let me know in the comments. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.